So one of the things that I often get asked about is how to add fonts to OP, how to use fonts that are not available in the page builder. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Google Fonts and add those to your OP site, to use them to add a little bit more personality, or perhaps to match your branding a little bit more easily. So I'm Geneviève Marie from GenevièveMarie.com and also from OptimizeYourCourse.com. And so in this video, it's really going to be simple. It's just a little bit of CSS coding, and you'll be able to add a little bit more personality and funk to your OP pages. So when you work with OptimizePress, you are already given a variety of different fonts to choose from. You've got your default fonts, and you have your Google fonts. And they've been adding some with time, but obviously not everybody can find the fonts that they want to use here. And so one of the easiest ways to add fonts to your OP pages is to use Google Fonts. So what I've done here is I've gone ahead and just kept the check mark in handwriting, just so that I can show you how I created this using Google Fonts. So in order to replicate this, I used a font called Courgette, which is actually zucchini in French. And so I'm just going to show you how I went ahead and used Google Fonts. And it's really simple, and this is something that you can replicate with any font in Google Fonts. So you want to find the font that you like. And if you're not seeing this version, you might be looking at this version of Google Fonts. So either way, you just add to collection. I just want to use a new version because I think it's pretty. So all I need to do is go back to my handwriting and look for my courgette and click on the plus sign. When the plus sign comes up, then you'll have this at the bottom. You'll just click on here, and here you'll find the information that you want. So we want to use import, and we're just going to tweak this a little bit. So I'm going to go on over to my page, because I've gone ahead and copied and pasted that already. So as you can see, this is how you want it to look. So it's not exactly the same. So if I copy this and I bring it over, just so you can see the difference, paste it in. So I've got the add import, but what I'm missing is the URL. So I want to add the URL, and I want to open the bracket, and everything else here stays the same. And then the only thing I want to change is that I want to take, so here I'll do it with you. So I want to add my URL and add the bracket. So I copy and I get rid of style. I don't need style. And I get rid of the style here. And then I want to make sure that I have courgette, and then I don't need this over here. This becomes that, and then I add 400. And the reason why I'm adding 400 is because when you go back to Google Fonts and I go to customize, I only have the option of 400. Now, if you're looking at other fonts, especially serif or sans serif, let's see. So Roboto, if I click on that, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. If I click on the plus and I go to Roboto, let's say I remove courgette, I can then choose to add 500, 700, 900, let's say. So then over here, I would have to add comma 500, 700, 900 to be able to use those font weights as well. So for courgette, it's only 400. So I just leave it like that. Okay. So basically this is, I'm just looking for the mistake, because there's a mistake somewhere. Oh, HTTPS. There we go. And it doesn't matter. I'll convert it to HTTPS. So I'm just going to delete that because the original one is fine. And then the next thing I want to do, okay, is, so I'm going to delete that. So this was the example for another one. I want to use this here. So this line here is what you need to be using if you want to use this font for all your headings, for all your body text, paragraphs, everything. I didn't want to do that for this site. I want to use it just for heading 1. If you want to use it for all your headings, then you would want to keep all your headings, and then you would remove the rest. Okay, so I'm just going to use it for heading 1. Then what you want to make sure is you want to have your font family, which is courgette, and then what you want to write, or what you want to have next, is whether it's serif, sans serif, cursive. So you use cursive. Okay, and then you just always make sure to close. You always have to open and close. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, but I suggest maybe that you take this down so that you know to use this in your code should you want to use a Google font for the body of your page, or for your, for paragraph. If you use body, then it's going to apply it all the way around. And if you use headings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then it's going to apply them there, and it will override anything that you have set up in typography settings. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this because we don't need that anymore. This is being recorded, so you can always come back to this. So I'm going to use this only for my heading 1. So now that I've done that, I save. I say, okay, I go to add element. I'm going to create a headline. So here you have to be a little bit careful. So let's just say, welcome friends. And the reason why I say you have to be a little bit careful is a lot of people are going to think, okay, well, I've chosen headline. I've written my text. I'm going to say insert and I'm done. No, you're not done. You need to come back in here. And the one thing you need to make sure is that your heading tag is actually heading 1. Okay, it's not just good enough to choose heading. It has to be heading 1. Then I say insert, I save and continue, and now I view public link, and now I've got my heading 1 in courgette. Now you can always customize the size. So let's make it big. So let's put it to 40. You can add color. So 2EA9BF is my light blue. And let's insert. So you'll never see it here, okay? You'll see it always when you preview the page. So let's refresh. And now it's actually smaller. And the reason why it's smaller is by default in the theme settings, your heading 1 is often set to a larger pixel. So let's go ahead and put 110 just so that I can prove my point that I can manipulate the size. There we go. Save and continue. And let's refresh. Now, depending on the font you use, you might not have to use such big pixels for the size. It really depends on the font itself. So some fonts are just bigger in nature. So there you go. So if you have any questions regarding this, please reach out to me. It's actually really simple. If it's not working out for you, the one thing I would recommend that you check is you come back into your page settings, other scripts, and you just make sure that any little bracket, any little apostrophe, any little, you have to make sure that it's straight, that if you have one at the beginning of your font name, you have to have one after. Are you using colon, semicolon? Are you closing the brackets? It's usually little things like that. And usually if you're copying and pasting, normally these things don't happen. But if you go to Google Fonts and you follow their style, it's obviously not perfect. It doesn't always work the same way, but if you use what I'm telling you to use here, you shouldn't have any problems. So pause the screen and go ahead and copy it, write it down. So if you enjoy this sort of training, let me know. I'd love to create more for you. I'm always looking for some ideas on the sort of things that you want to know more about. But obviously this was something that was bugging a lot of people. So I'm hoping that this has given you a little bit more flexibility in the way you can customize your OP pages.